Good morning. Welcome to Convince Me, presented by BetMGM. It is the most exciting window in sports. It is open right now. You may be flipping over during halftime of the scintillating Dolphins Jags game. Raise your hand if you are Chris Raybon and you said the Jags were your favorite win total under, and you said it like in March. Chris Raybon, well done. Raise your hand if you did not text Chad Millman this morning and say, I gotta bet the Jags. Simon Hunter, congratulations. I am Chad Millman. I am joined by Chris Raybon, Sean Koerner, Simon Hunter, Samantha Previte, Darren Rovell. We got it all, folks. All the picks, all the data, all the research, all the news and information you need for betting, for fantasy. Let's get started. We're going to go for our player props. Sean Koerner, talk to me.
So I'm going with the Sunday Night Football prop tonight and going with the Chase Claypool over 63.5 receiving yards. With Juju Smith-Schuster done for the season, we're going to see Claypool's production skyrocket. He's had 2 games this year where either Deontay Johnson or Juju Smith-Schuster missed most of the game. And week 3, Deontay Johnson was out. Chase Claypool had 9 catches for 96 yards. Last week, when Juju Smith-Schuster was knocked out in the first half, he finished with 5 catches for 130 yards and a touchdown. But more importantly, we saw an increase in Chase Claypool's usage in the slot. So weeks 1 through 4, he only lined up in the slot 15% of the time. Last week, after Juju went down, he lined up in the slot 40% of the time. And on those slot snaps, he caught 2 targets for 77 yards and a touchdown. So I think lining up in the slot's going to get him on the field more, be able to create mismatches. So I think the sky's the limit with Chase Claypool right now, and I want to get in on him before the market catches up. I'm projecting this like closer to 72.5 tonight, so I love the over here.
All right, Chase Claypool over 63.5 yards. If you want to win some real hard cash, tweet at Action Network HQ. Tell us how many yards you think Chase Claypool will have. Just give us a number. Doesn't need to be over, doesn't need to be under. Give us the number. If you're right and you're the first one who tweets us, you will win the money. Speaking of winning, Simon, we're winning just because we're not losing on the Jags. What do you got?
Speak for yourself there, buddy. We talked, I feel like on Tuesday and Thursday, just about the weather with Cleveland. That was a big thing we talked about all week. And here we are sitting Sunday morning. Supposedly they got crazy wind in Cleveland. And we got the under, I believe, at 51, 52. It's down to 48 now. The easiest play for these kind of games is you just take a running back prop. And I love taking running back props in these kind of matchups where, the team's going to try to ball control it. They're going to try to run it, especially when it's high winds like this. Kareem Hunt, he's getting the whole workload right now for this Cleveland team. So with Chubb out, I felt fine taking it when it was down to the 80. I think it's up to 87, 88 now. So I still like the over for Kareem Hunt getting all the touches this week in Cleveland.
I'm going to want to circle back with Raybon and Koerner on that and see if they have a projection, because that all of a sudden is skyrocketing into like a very ridiculous range. Raybon, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Like, I got Koerner giving me Chase Claypool, something fun to watch on a Sunday night. I got Simon giving me the guy who's going to carry the rock for most of the game for the Cleveland Browns. What reclamation project, what god-awful under bet are you going to tell me to take right now?
I'm going with Zach Pascal under 33.5 receiving yards, Chad. And he could be the 4th receiver in this game because it kind of went under the radar, but T.Y. Hilton got activated from the injury reserve ahead of this game. I don't think he's going to play a full complement of snaps, but for the first time, for only the 3rd time ever, we have Hilton, Michael Pittman Jr., Paris Campbell, the ghost of Paris Campbell, is actually going to be on the field today, and Zach Pascal all active at the same time. The prior 2 times when all 4 of those guys were active, Pascal 19 receiving yards and 18 receiving yards. In all of his games since the start of 2019, when Hilton has been active in any capacity, whether he got injured, left early, played limited snaps, whatever, Pascal's median is only 27 receiving yards. And the Houston Texans have actually been a run funnel defense. Their above average in pass defense, DVOA. They're below average against the run, and they've allowed the 6th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. So they're not allowing a ton of production to wide receivers as is. This is not the game script where you expect the Colts to be throwing. They're 10-point favorites. This could be their most run-heavy script of the year. So give me Zach Pascal under 33.5 receiving yards.
You know what? That's not disgusting. That to me feels like fishing for opportunity and finding opportunity. You baited the hook. You found the opportunity. I don't hate it. I do want to get Koerner's take on Simon Hunter and the Kareem Hunt rushing yards total, because that does feel like it's just gone up considerably.
Yeah, so Kareem Hunt is actually my number 1 running back in my fantasy rankings right now. So I'm very bullish on Kareem Hunt here. With Nick Chubb out of lineup, he could see 20 plus touches. There's a ton of wind in this game too. So I happen to like the over as well.
Even over 87.5, 88.
Yeah, it's high, but he is the best backup running back in the game. They have a great offensive line, and he's going to see potentially 20 carries. So, yeah, I do think the over is a good bet here.
You know what? I love sort of the ingenuity behind Raybon's pick. It's not, hey, this receiver's out, so this guy's going to get more catches. Hey, this running back's out, so this guy's going to get more carries. It's, hey, these guys are playing. This is the work I'm going to show you. He showed me the math. Chris Raybon, you have convinced me to do something that I never want to do, which is root for nothing. Zach Pascal, under 33.5 receiving yards. Very nicely done, Chris Raybon. Darren Rovell, what do you got from the news desk?
Well, Simon tried to take my entire hit this morning. I don't know how I'm going to get him back, but I do have more information. First Energy, at First Energy, by the way, First Energy does offer Ohio customers wind-generated energy should they choose, and that's appropriate today because there's a lot of wind in Cleveland for the Arizona-Cleveland game, gusts of up to 22 miles per hour, as Simon told you, went from 54 to we're at 48 now. And we're showing that the bets are on the over slightly, but the money is on the under with our Action Network data. So that's that. And the other thing is we had a great article today, which we put out on how do you bet the Raiders. I stared at my Raiders bet for about an hour this morning and was like the Princess Bride person. Should I take it? Should I not? But the poison's in the cup, but John Gruden's not there. But if John Gruden's not there, how much does John Gruden really do? But if you know, and ultimately I did not bet the game. So when you look at that, we have, I don't know, like Caesars has 76% of the money on the Broncos, but FanDuel has 55% of the money on the Raiders. So there's not really any definitive way to go. I'm sure someone might talk about it when we talk about the spreads on the no Gruden or even the Cliff Kingsbury COVID gone thing. How much?
Well, listen, I can promise you that at least 2 of us on this show today are betting on the Las Vegas Raiders as 4.5-point underdogs against the Denver Broncos. Let's get to our convince me sides. Sean Koerner, you're up first.
So I'm going with the Patriots plus 3.5 today. 78% of the action is on Dallas today, and it's not surprising. I mean, Dallas is playing out of their mind right now. They're on a 4-game win streak. I'm not sure how you can slow down this offense, but if there's anybody that can figure it out, maybe it's Bill Belichick. I also think the public is, fading the Patriots after barely beating the Texans last week. But we have to remember they were missing 4 out of their 5 starting offensive linemen. They get back Isaiah Wynn and Mike Onwenu today. They're both off the COVID list, so that's huge. And plus, we have to remember the Patriots spent a record amount of money in free agency, and they're starting a rookie quarterback this year. So they're a team that I think is going to gel more as the season goes on. So they're a team I think is going to be trending up. We've seen 2 of their bigger investments, Matthew Judon and Hunter Henry, really step up over the past couple of games. So I think they're going to keep it going here. And I like getting the hook. It would not surprise me if the Cowboys win by 3 exactly here, but we're going to win with the plus 3.5. So give me the Pats plus 3.5.
Yeah, to me, this is one of the hardest games on the board all week, because when do you how do you figure out how to fade the Cowboys? How do you figure out when that regression is coming? How do you figure out when Mike McCarthy's decisions and his poor decision making is going to have an impact on the game that they can't sort of dig themselves out of? It's easily one of the most challenging games on the board to handicap today. Simon Hunter, what do you got?
Well, Darren's goal was to steal my thunder. He did it. I am taking the Raiders +5. Love this number. My favorite thing people talking about is how much Gruden is worth to the spread. The guy that's never had a winning record since he's been their coach. I don't really get what that's all about. It's a classic spot of you're taking a team that they're losing what most people consider a cancer to that locker room. And this is going to be a rallying point for this team. If this was 3, it probably wouldn't be my favorite bet of the week. But now that it's up to 5, wow, that's crazy amount of value in a divisional rivalry game where Denver's not blowing teams out. They don't have the offense to really blow teams out. They have injuries across the board to all their wide receivers. I do like Sutton, but if that's all they're really having to focus on with the Raiders have been pretty good at shutting down number 1 wide receivers. So matchup wise, I like the offense with Las Vegas much more than Denver to keep this close, and giving me a 5 now, that's way too much value to pass on.
Yeah, it has been like one of those bets that has been sneaky all week long. And then I did see the same story that Darren talked about on Action Network with some of our signals, just loving the Las Vegas Raiders today. Oh, Raybon, you're going to say something to me right now that is so warming my heart. Tell me what it is.
Yeah, Chad. So my theme here is I'm not going to let anybody out ugly me on this show anymore. Not my looks. I know I'm ugly there, but with the bets, we're going Chicago +6. I love this number. I have this as a 3-point spread. It ballooned up to 6. So I think you have a ton of wiggle room here. There's a number of things I like about Chicago. First of all, both of these teams are playing extremely slow pace. So the underdog, every point in this kind of game is going to be worth more. We've seen the total drop, but you look at Chicago and what they're doing now on offense with Justin Fields. They're just max protecting. They're giving him time to throw downfield, and they're running the football. Green Bay is bottom 5 in run defense DVOA. Green Bay on offense, if you want to flip it over, is actually worse than Chicago in early down success rate. And remember, that's more predictive. What happens on early downs, third downs, you see a lot of variance. Green Bay's number 26 in the league. Chicago also leads the league with 18 sacks. Aaron Rodgers, those issues that I looked at a couple years ago that he just kind of, put to the side last year and winning the MVP, they're back. He's dead last of 34 quarterbacks in passer rating under pressure, just 31 passer rating under pressure this year. This is not the same Green Bay offense that it was last year. And Green Bay, this is just a fade of a team that's 4-1 with a negative point differential. They have a true expected wins of just 2.5. So they're about a 1.5 over expectation. They were really lucky to win that game even against Cincinnati last week. I think they may even take a loss in this one. You look at week 6 underdogs against the spread versus one-loss teams since 2003, 56, 25-2, a 69% against the spread win rate. That is nice.
Well, look, the Bears, they lead the league in sacks. Their pressure rate isn't great, but they do get to the quarterback. And this is going to be one of those opportunities also with the Packers offensive line still nursing injuries. David Bakhtiari still not back from his injury. So I love this bet. I love the Raiders bet. I'm iffy on the Patriots just because I'm not quite ready to fade the Cowboys. There are some things about a defensive secondary that are not things that you can fade. That is just the way they cover. They are ball hawks. While they might not get interception, they play tight coverage, and the receivers for the Patriots can't really get any kind of separation from these guys. So I don't love having to bet on Mac Jones keeping the game close when there's too many opportunities for the Cowboys to create some kind of ball pressure and some kind of turnovers. Koerner, tell me why. Convince me again, because right now I'm choosing between Raybon and Simon right now.
Well, I thought I already made my case.
No, it wasn't good enough.
Okay,
Tell me why what
Not
I
proud.
said isn't the right way
Well,
to
you
go.
talked
Like,
about the
why will Mac
Patriots
Jones not be under pressure here?
You talked about the Patriots receivers not being able to get separation, but they have Jacoby Myers, who is more than capable of getting separation. And, they spent a shit ton of money on their tight ends, and Hunter Henry has been stepping up. So I think they will be able to move the ball enough to keep this close. And again, I'm saying it would not surprise me if the Cowboys win by 3. That's the most common outcome in the NFL, but we're getting plus 3.5 here. So you can never go wrong getting plus 3.5.
Well, you can go wrong getting 3.5 when you bet on the wrong team. That's why I'm going to bet on the Bears. I'm going with Raybon and the Chicago Bears because you know what? Why not? Why not root for your favorite team to find a way to keep it close? And maybe they eke out a win, and maybe all of a sudden Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears are leading the NFC North, and they're the best team in the NFC. Samantha Previte, save me from myself. Give us some fantasy news.
Thank you, Chad. I'm going to hit you with 7 of the most important actives and inactives that you need to know about for week 6. Kicking it off with most leagues' number 1 pick is Christian McCaffrey, who was ruled out on Friday, placed on IR with a hamstring strain, meaning he will miss at least 3 games. This is a massive blow to my Carolina Panthers. So you are firing up Chuba Hubbard as an RB2 this week versus the Vikings. He finished as RB19 in half PPR last week. On the other side of the ball, star running back Dalvin Cook is expected to return against the Panthers after missing week 5 with an ankle injury. I do expect to see Alexander Mattison peppered in, which could limit Cook's production slightly. Next up is Tyreke Hill, who was all over the injury report this week. He is expected to play versus the football team. He was dealing with a quad contusion. He has sky-high upside in a game with the highest point total of the week. Next up is Nick Chubb, who was ruled out on Friday with a calf injury. Kareem Hunt should get the start and is a locked and loaded elite running back against the Cardinals. Also, we have Joe Mixon, who seemingly is a permanent fixture on this injury report. He will play this week against the Lions despite dealing with an ankle injury. Head coach Zach Taylor said he is in line to get the full workload after splitting touches with Samaje Perine last week. Perine is on the COVID-19 reserve list, so Chris Evans, sadly not Captain America, will back up Joe Mixon today. More running back bad news comes from Chris Carson, who is out this week and at least the next 3 weeks after being placed on injured reserve with a neck injury. Expect Alex Collins to see a lot of the work out of the Seattle backfield with some DJ Dallas and Travis Homer sprinkled in. And finally, we have some good news. Julio Jones and AJ Brown will play this Monday against the Bills, both of which have been dealing with matching hamstring injuries. Jones has missed 2 games, and this will be the first game with both receivers healthy since week 3. And that is all I have for you for actives and inactives. Back to you, Chad.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Samantha. I am thrilled to hear about Chris Evans. I don't think Captain America himself could save the Seahawks in their game against the Steelers tonight. I will be on the Steelers at -4.5. Don't shake your head at me, Simon. I'm also very, very curious to see how this Bills-Titans game ends up, because I know the wise guys were giving Simon some grief this week about him liking the Bills and they're liking the Titans. So Julio Jones and A.J. Brown coming back, that's a big one. All right, let's get to our totals. Koerner, what do you got?
So Samantha mentioned the football team Chiefs has the highest total of the week at 54, and I'm going with the under here. Both of these teams have played to the over 4 out of the first 5 games, which is not surprising on the Chiefs side. Look who they've faced this year. They faced the Browns, Ravens, Chargers, Eagles, Bills, some of the top offenses in the NFL. Their defense has been atrocious this year, but I think the Washington football team's offense might make them look somewhat average here. When you look at the Washington offense, they're going to be without 2 key offensive linemen in Brandon Scherf and Samuel Cosme. And then, their 2 top playmakers in Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin are going to be playing at less than 100%. And they're without 2 other key players in Curtis Samuel and Logan Thomas. So, they might have to lean on their defense this year, which has been one of the biggest disappointments of 2021. But they're still really good on paper. They rate 2nd in pass rush, according to PFF. So, they're a team that I think could rebound the rest of the season. So they're going to have to lean on their defense here. I think this is going to be less of a shootout than the market thinks. I'm projecting this closer to 52.5. So I love the under 54 here.
All right, so we're getting about 1.5, 2 points of value on Koerner's total for the Kansas City and Washington football team game. Simon Hunter, what say you?
Try to stay away from cross stream. So Sean had a different pick in this morning. They switched it to the Patriots last night. So I am on the under. I do like his bet a lot. The Patriots. I don't know why Chad's so scared of that. That's a smart number, 3.5. But Same reason I like the under. The Cowboys, they haven't really played any great defenses other than the Chargers, and the Chargers aren't that great, but they shut them down. We saw that game. They had problems with a good secondary team. And I know the Patriots have played a really weak schedule, especially passing offenses, but this is Belichick's. I mean, this is what he does. He gets teams at home and he shuts down their offense. And if there's someone I trust to scheme up a way to shut down Dak and this offense, I have to go with Belichick. So this point, I had it at 48. It's still at 50.5. That's a lot. That's a lot of value right there. And I was hoping for some weather, but it looks like the rainstorm kind of blew offshore this morning. So we're not going to get any of the Belichick magic with the weather, but still way too high of a total. I like this under a lot.
All right, I'm getting 2.5 points of value off of Simon's rating versus what the Pats Cowboys game is showing right now. Oh, Raybon. Lately, you like to ask me to bet the most disgusting, gross, lowest total unders on the board, and they've been cashing. What do you got today?
Well, I'm going with the lowest under of the three of us picking here. It's higher than usual, though, but that's the whole point. It shouldn't be. I'm going under 47 in Bengals Lions. I have this closer to 45. And there's a couple of things that point toward the under. Number one, Detroit 27th in situation neutral pace, Cincinnati 31st. So these are two bottom six teams in terms of pace. And then you have a situation where Detroit, they're not really good on defense, but surprisingly, despite their injuries, despite their secondary struggling, one thing they've done is get pressure. They're actually fourth in the league in pressure rate on defense. Now, why is this important? Because Joe Burrow took some NFL blitz style hits last week. Like he ended up in the hospital at one point. Like he just got mashed. So this week, and Cincinnati's been doing this all year. They've passed only 56% of the time in terms of called passing plays. So I think this is going to be another game where they're not going to put Joe Burrow in harm's way too often, especially against a team like the Lions, who they're going to feel like they could control. And then on the other side, the Lions, they're still without center Frank Ragnow. Their offensive line, which used to be a strength, is banged up. They lost their top receiver that was, kind of their moonlighting as their number one receiver in Quintez Cephas last week. So he's out. And you look at these two teams, Cincinnati's last four games have gone under. The average score in that game, 41 points. The last three Lions games have gone under. The average score in those games, 37 points. Since 2003, when both teams are on a streak of at least 3 straight unders, the under is 35, 21-1, 63%. So give me the under 47 in Cincy, Detroit. I have about 2 points of value on this one.
Everything about this game to me screams quarterbacks turning the ball over, pick six, first half. It just scares the daylights out of me. I'm going to go with the Pats and the Cowboys under, but I want to give partial credit to Sean Koerner on this. It's not just a Simon Hunter pick. I'm giving credit to Koerner because in the back of my head, I'm thinking about a lot of things he said about the 3.5. And the fact that there's about 2.5 points of value on this game from what it's power rated at, it's too hard for me to ignore that much of a delta. So I'm going with the Cowboys and the Pats and Simon Hunter and Sean Koerner under. What do we have that right now at 50.5? Yeah, about 50.5. All right, here we go. This is my recap right now. I'm doing it, Raybon. I'm doing it right now. Zach Pascal, Indianapolis Colts, under 33.5 receiving yards. I'm going with the Bears +6, both Chris Raybon recommendations. And then Koerner and Simon convinced me to go with the Cowboys and the Pats under 50.5 receiving yards. Samantha, what do you got for us?
Yeah, as always, I am going to hit you with 3 starts and 3 sits you need to know about while tinkering with your week 6 lineups. So first, you should start Taylor Heineke versus the Chiefs. One word, matchup. Heineke disappointed in week 5 with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, but this is the perfect get-right game for him as he takes on the Chiefs, who rank dead last in total points allowed and fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks per game. You could certainly do worse than Heineke as a bye-week fill-in. Second, you are starting Chase Claypool versus the Seahawks. He was borderline unplayable earlier this year, but he is making a comeback. He should see more targets out of the slot with Juju Smith-Schuster out for the year and gets a favorable matchup this week versus Seattle's Swiss cheese secondary. consider Claypool a high-end wide receiver 2. And finally, I like Khalil Herbert versus the Packers. Last week, Herbert saw more rushing attempts than Damien Williams, who landed on the COVID-19 reserve list after testing positive. This vaults Herbert into the high-end RB2 consideration based on workload alone, with both Williams and David Montgomery sidelined. And moving on to sits, first, I am avoiding Allen Robinson versus the Packers. When Justin Fields was drafted by the Bears, I immediately thought, finally, we will see Allen Robinson's full potential. That has honestly not happened. And A-Rob is wide receiver 63, averaging just 36.2 receiving yards per game and fewer targets than Darnell Mooney. He isn't getting separation and is now banged up with an ankle injury. You just cannot trust him without seeing monumental improvement from Fields in this offense as a whole. Second, I am sitting Damien Harris versus the Cowboys. He fumbled for the second game in the row, which is an anathema to head coach Bill Belichick. He has zero involvement in the passing game and is banged up with a rib and chest injury, making him a risky RB2 with low upside this week. And third, I am out on Robert Tanyan versus the Bears. If you are starting Tanyan at this point, I'm just going to assume you have not checked your lineups in a hot minute, as after a huge 11 touchdown season in 2020, he's been largely unimpressive all year, hasn't seen anything near the volume we need to see to be a viable tight end 1 for fantasy, and is just a no-brainer sit against the Bears. And that is all I have for you for start sit. So good luck in week 6.
All right, so we got Sean Koerner saying Chase Claypool over 63.5 total receiving yards. Don't forget, you can win $100 if you tell us at Action Network HQ how many total yards Chase Claypool will have. And then we got Samantha telling you he's a start today. Both of them like him lining up in the slot. That to me feels like a double win. So everybody go do what they're saying. Also, nice use of alliteration. Seattle's Swiss cheese secondary. Not easy to say that live. Darren Rovell, what can you do to top Samantha's Swiss cheese secondary?
I can't, and I actually won't use anathema either.
No, that's not easy either.
I do know what it means. I will tell you later. Okay, so the most bet on games at our sponsor, BetMGM: Cardinals, Browns, Bears, Packers, and Rams, Giants. Most bet on teams, Chiefs -6.5. I thought after the Chiefs have gone 3-16, there's no place like Mahomes. No, there isn't. What are you guys doing? Enough. He's not your Mahomie. Okay, he's not. If you're betting on it, he's not your Mahomie. Okay, so people are still betting the Chiefs. That's the number 1 most bet on team. Then the Cowboys, square, and then the Browns -4. So those are the 3 most bet on teams at BetMGM today.
I feel like you're just jealous of Samantha's very sharp wordplay the past few weeks.
You know what? I now feel like I'm going to have to prepare for next week, and I'm glad that I have 7 days to come up with something crazy. I am probably going to go with the most alliterative sentence of all time. So
I'm looking forward to that, as are all of our viewers. Here is our recap. Sean Koerner, you're on Chase Claypool over 63.5 receiving yards. You're on New England +3.5. You're on KC and the Washington football team under 54.5. Simon Hunter. You are on Kareem Hunt over 87.5 rushing yards. You're on the Las Vegas Raiders up to 5 now, +5. And you're on Dallas Patriots under 50.5. Chris Raybon, you're on Zach Pascal under 3.5 receiving yards. I can't even say without laughing. You're on the Chicago Bears, bear down, +6 against the Packers, and the Cincinnati Detroit under 47. This has been Convince Me, presented by BetMGM. Good luck to everybody today.